Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to take an absolutely epic journey through a land of staggering contrasts, India. We're going to explore the incredible geography that defines this nation, all the way from the highest peaks on Earth to its sun-drenched coasts. So, let's dive right in.
So this is the question that really gets to the heart of it all, right? How is it possible for one single country to have all of this? This one question is really the key that unlocks the story of India. And together, we're going to answer it by exploring the incredible physical features that make this nation so unique.
Okay, so first things first, let's get our bearings. Here on the map, you can see India, this massive peninsula in the southern part of Asia, just jutting out into the Indian Ocean. It's got the sea on three sides, and then, up north, it's walled off from the rest of the continent by the absolutely colossal Himalayan mountains.
Now, to put its size into perspective, India is the seventh largest country in the world by area. We're talking about a vast nation, stretching over 3,000 kilometers from those icy northern peaks all the way down to the tropical shores of the south.
And it's not just about the land. When it comes to people, it is the second most populous country on the entire planet. So you have this combination of immense space and a massive population, which makes understanding its geography absolutely critical to understanding India itself.
So how is all this space, with all these people, organized? Well, let's zoom in from that global view and take a look at the internal political structure.
India is a democratic republic, and it's basically a federation made up of 28 states and 8 union territories. To put it simply, the states have their own elected governments, while the union territories are run directly by the central government.
And this map just shows that structure so well, laying out all the different pieces of the puzzle. If you look over to the west, that huge chunk of land is Rajasthan, the largest state by area. And then, in complete contrast, you see that tiny little dot on the west coast? That's Goa, the smallest.
All right, now for the main event. We're going to leave the political boundaries behind and go on a journey through India's 6 major physical divisions. This, my friends, is where the story of its extreme contrasts really comes alive.
So here's our itinerary. We'll start way up high in the northern mountains, then sweep down into the fertile plains, cross the arid Thar Desert, explore the ancient Peninsular Plateau, walk the coastal plains, and finally, we'll visit the islands. Let's get started. Our journey kicks off right here, in what you could call the Great Northern Wall. This map shows that massive arc of the Himalayas, a natural barrier that has shaped the climate, the culture, pretty much the entire history of the subcontinent. And get this, these are the highest and the youngest fold mountains in the world.
And this, well, this gives you a sense of their incredible scale. We're looking at peaks like Mount Everest, literally the highest point on Earth. These mountains are so tall they are permanently covered in snow, and all that snow and ice, it's the source for many of India's great life-giving rivers.
Now, the Himalayas aren't just one single chain of mountains. They're actually 3 distinct parallel ranges. You've got the Greater Himalayas, or Himadri. That's where you'll find those legendary tallest peaks. Just south of that are the Lesser Himalayas, or Himachal, home to all the popular hill stations. And finally, you have the foothills, the Outer Himalayas, also known as the Sivaliks.
Okay, so as we travel south from the mountains, the landscape just completely transforms. It becomes the northern plains. These are vast, flat plains formed by all the rich soil and sediment brought down by the rivers flowing from the Himalayas. This makes it one of the most fertile and, no surprise, one of the most densely populated regions in the entire world.
And now, for a dramatic shift, we head west from the plains, and the landscape completely morphs into the Great Indian Desert, also known as the Thar Desert. It's a huge, dry region of sand and rock with very, very little rainfall. The contrast with those lush green plains we just left, it couldn't be more extreme. And here's a really cool feature of this desert. You see these crescent-shaped sand dunes? They actually have a name, barchans. They're sculpted by the wind, and they're constantly shifting. It's a true signature of this dynamic, arid landscape. Okay, journeying further south now, we reach the Peninsular Plateau. This triangular landmass is one of the oldest parts of the Earth's crust. Seriously, it's ancient. It's a rugged tableland made of old igneous and metamorphic rocks, which makes it a treasure trove of minerals. But its geology is totally different from the young, folded Himalayas we saw earlier. Now, this plateau is flanked by 2 mountain ranges, the Western and Eastern Ghats. And as you can see here, they are quite different.
The Western Ghats are like a continuous steep wall, which creates a pretty narrow coastal plain. The Eastern Ghats, on the other hand, are lower and they're broken up by rivers, which means you get a much wider coastal plain over there. And for the final stop on our physical tour, we're heading offshore. India has two main groups of islands, and they each have a totally different origin story. In the Bay of Bengal, you've got the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are actually the peaks of a submerged mountain range. How cool is that? Then over in the Arabian Sea, the Lakshadweep Islands are made entirely of coral. So, now that we've toured the land, let's look at what sustains it, the rivers. The story of India's rivers is, once again, a tale of two very different systems. It's really a tale of the north versus the south. This map gives you a fantastic overview of the country's circulatory system. You can see these massive river networks up north, like the Ganga and Brahmaputra, and then rivers like the Godavari and Krishna flowing across the southern plateau. And as we're about to see, they behave very, very differently. And this slide right here shows you exactly why they're so different. The northern rivers are perennial, which means they have water all year round because they're fed by both melting snow from the Himalayas and by rain. That makes them super reliable for farming and for navigation. The southern rivers, though, are seasonal. They depend completely on the monsoon rains. They also flow faster through that rocky plateau, which makes them great for generating hydroelectric power. So, we've journeyed from towering mountains to fertile plains, from arid deserts to ancient plateaus, and we've explored two completely different coastlines and river systems. Now, let's kind of pull all these threads together and see the bigger picture. This really is the essence of it all, isn't it? The defining feature of India's geography is just its sheer diversity and its dramatic contrasts, all packed within a single nation. It truly is like a world in one country. And that brings us to our final, lingering thought. Because this journey isn't just about rocks and rivers, it's about people. So the question I want to leave you with is this: how does a land of such extreme contrasts shape the diverse cultures, languages, and lifestyles of the more than 1 billion people who call it home? It's something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.